Alright, hello. It is Pokey Ninja 77 here, with my first video recorded, RLCS predictions for the NA Open #1. This one's for the LAN kickoff, for having a new format this year, which I'm pretty excited over. I've wanted to kind of get into sharing my thoughts on this esport. I've been watching it since about 2022. And yeah, I want to start making some content relating to esports because I love it, and I know where this is probably going to be where my passion lies. So without further ado, let's get into some of these predictions. So first matchup, Group A, you have Space Station versus Seal. Now Space Station has, a little bit of a roster move. It now consists of Reveal, Chronic, and Diaz, which I think is a great team. I don't know if it's I'm leaning more towards like an NA5 on them, Space Station, like an NA4, NA5. I don't think we're gonna win a regional, I don't think, but they're pretty good. And Seal, which is Panda, Percy, and Knight. Shout out to Percy there. Space Station should easily win this. They're a decent team, at least I'd say top 8. I think they're gonna be NA5 seed probably by the end of the split. I don't know if we're quite major making, but I think it's gonna be close. But right now for this game one, I'm gonna say 3-1. I'll give the other team a game because I know it's first game of the season, like actual game. I mean, technically that was last week, but just gonna type it in here if it wants to listen to me. Oh, I forgot to make the copy. Alright, give me a second. Alright, so now it's a word screen. I'm not gonna edit. I don't like doing that. Alright, so now I do like it actually. So now, okay, now that we're on our own spreadsheet here, I'm gonna say Space Station wins it 3-1. I'm gonna give them a game, first major like game of the season, NA Open 1. There you go. Space Station wins that. Now, next one is pretty interesting. It's Garrett, AJ, and Squishy versus Shopify Rebellion. Rebellion now made up of First Killer, Topher, and LJ, which is a solid team, I'd say. Obviously, I think they're gonna take the win over Gas. It's a solid team. I think Gas might take a game if they're lucky. Gas is just kind of a content team. I mean, definitely with this bracket though, there's a good shot they make a top 8 at some point in this season. They're a content team. They're really not trying like I know some of these other teams are. They're just really good at the game. They're doing it more so for content, and if they get a top 8 run, that would be insane. But I'm gonna give it a shot for Rebellion. I'm gonna say they sweep. No way First Killer is gonna lose a single game to this team. 3-0. All right. So for this next matchup, 100's X35 versus Unreal Nightmare, which is a cool logo, cool team name. It's a Drewy, Gyro, and Life versus Crispy, Simus, and Psy on Crispy, Simus, Psy, 100x35. And it's kind of somewhat bubbly. They might make a top 8. One of these teams, I don't see either of them getting really far. I'm gonna have to give this one to 100x35. I'm gonna say 3-2 though. I think it's gonna be close. This is kind of the easier side of the groups out of the two. The other one has a little bit more skill to it, I'd say. But definitely all good players on all of these teams. I'm going to give a win to 100x35 because I trust the Europeans to beat out some of the Americans there. So we're going to take it 3-2. And then next is Lotus 8. See if I can find them. Oh, there it is. Lotus 8, which is Expert, Nolly, and Wellis. That's a very interesting team. Versus Silence, which is Okay, people I've never heard of before. Reasonable Pigeon and Lev from the Middle East. I haven't really seen much of the Silence team because I just paid attention to the teams. I wasn't able to really watch fully last weekend, but I I'm gonna have to give it to Lotus. I mean, Nolly's on that team. I think it might be close. I would say 3-1 here. All right, so then I'm gonna move over to the first matches now in Group B. I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit here. We got Gen G, which is Magic Bear, Justin, and Rise. Never thought I would see the day Justin would team with Rise. I think it's an amazing trio they got. Magic Bear, Justin, and Rise. I think they could definitely win this regional. I think they have the talent to. Um, I definitely believe we're gonna at least make the kickoff and the first major. No doubt in my mind about that. It's a very solid team. I mean, Rise, he's always at a land somehow. I swear. Like everyone keeps writing him off. He's very consistent. Shows up to most lands in the past 3 years, and yeah, so I think they're gonna win it over Foot there. Foot being Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. I think they're all right, but they seem like they might struggle to make like a top four. I think they could. I think they're gonna make like a top six or a top eight. But I'm gonna give Genji this win. I'm gonna say 3-1. It might be 3-2 because it's Genji. They're not the most consistent in the past, but who knows with this new roster what's gonna happen. So then next we have Shuffle's Kittens, which seems look it up. Arju relating wave and speed. Now that team actually seems pretty familiar. That seems like a European like top 8 team right there. Playing in NA, we're going up against M80, which is Eris, DVO, and Mech. I haven't really heard much about those players. They seem relatively newer to the scene here. I've no Schiffles Kittens. I've definitely heard their names a lot before in Europe. I think they're a more experienced team here. We're gonna take it probably 3-1. Up next, it's the reigning world champions NRG taking on Feast of Bonium. I don't comment needs to be said here. I mean, NRG are the former world champions, but might start off a little bit rough. It lost a game to Gas in the Swiss, but I mean, that is the Swiss, and typically it's not the most consistent telling results for these tire teams who sometimes do lose to teams they really shouldn't be losing to. But NRG, clean 3-0, like they should. Gonna give them a 3-0 here. Defending world champions. Do I think NRG is gonna win this regional? No. And the reason why I say that is because I mean, after you win a world championship, typically there is some decline. You saw it with BDS after they won in 2022. They didn't do well until spring of 23. You saw it with Vitality. They lost at the next world championship. They lost out before even making it to top 8. And then you saw that with I mean, I guess you kind of saw that with BDS. However, they kind of split ways in 2024 after that season ended. So I don't think NRG is going to win again. I think they're going to be a little bit cold coming off of it. Typically it is, but I definitely expect them to come back at some point. But I'm getting a little off topic. Now it's Redacted. Let's see. Which is Wavy, Two Piece, and Talk. That is a very interesting team there versus Top of that, which is Calm, Creams, and Parf. This one might be close, but I kind of like Redacted's chances here. I'm going to give him 3-2. I'm a little unsure on this one, but I think it's a 50-50 based on the names I just read, so there you go. All right, now I'm going to move on to the lower quarterfinals. You're going to have Gas, Scared, AJ, Squishy taking on Seal. Seal, which is, again, Panda, Percy, and Knight. They're a good team. Gas could easily lose to them. I think Gas is going to win it. I just think experience wise, I think Gas is going to make a top 8. I mean, I don't know if they're a content team, but definitely seems like they're doing well in Swiss, top 6 seed. gonna give it to Gas in a 3-2 win. Alright, and then the next matchup is Unreal Nightmare versus Silenced. Drury Gyro Life versus Regional Pigeon and Lev. I mean, I have never heard of the 3 players on Silence ever before. I've heard of them all on Unreal Nightmares. They could be up and coming. I could be sleeping on them. Silence might be really good. I don't know. I haven't seen much from those players, but because of that, I'm going to give the win to Unreal Nightmares in a 3-1 victory. I clicked the wrong button. Alright, so then we're going to move to the lower quarterfinals of Group B, Foot versus M80. Now, M80, Eris, DVO, and Mech versus Foot, which is Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa, I'd say they're actually a decent team. Like a very, very decent team. I'm recording a video, give me a sec. Alright, I'd say they're a very decent team here. Foot, very solid. I'd say those 3 players, Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. I think they'd make a very solid team. I'd say top 8 at least. I'd say they win it over here, over M80. I'd say it's going to be close, 3-2. Next, you have Feastabonium versus Top Le being Calm, Crimson Parf, and Feastbonium gonna be S5 Cosmic, Adam, and Hazo. I like Top Le here, just based off what I'm seeing. I mean, it's pretty low there. Alright, next matchup, Space Station versus Rebellion. This might be the first decent, high level match. Reveal, Chronic, and Diaz taking on Rebellion, which is First Killer, Kofer, and LJ. I'm gonna have to give it to Rebellion here. I just think they're a stronger team. They have First Killer. I know he's definitely gonna be hungry, especially after that Major 2 loss to KC. Or after a Major 1 loss. The Major loss to KC. There you go. I got somewhere. I'm gonna say it's gonna be close, 3-2. Next is gonna be 100x35 for battle for top 6. Crispy Stymus and Sai versus Lotus 8. Expert Nolly and Willis. I'm gonna give it to 100x35, 3-1. I think they're a slightly better team here. I think they're gonna luck out, make a top 6. They have a very easy schedule. Let's see if they can do that again next time. Now we're gonna move over to Group B semifinals. Gen G versus Schiffles Kittens. I already know this is probably gonna definitely be a win for Gen G here. I'm gonna say 3-2. Then it's gonna be close, but I think Gen G should be able to come out on top. And then we have NRG versus Redacted. I know NRG just won. I think they're still gonna keep winning here. I'm gonna say 3-1. Alright, now we go to the 9th through 12th matches. Lotus 8 versus Gas. Lotus 8, Expert Nolly Willis versus Gas. I think this is where Gas falls. I just think Nolly is a great player. I think they're going to make a top 8. And I'm going to say they win 3-2. And now we have Space Station versus Unreal Nightmare. I'd hope Space Station would win this. I mean, I think Unreal Nightmare has a great chance at an upset here, but I think Space Station is gonna come out on top here. I don't think there's gonna be much shock there. Alright, next is Redacted versus Foot. And I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna give it to Foot. I think Foot, slightly better team, give him the edge. I'm gonna say 3-2 on that one. And then Top Le versus Schiffle Kittens. Calm Creams and Parf versus Schiffle's Kittens here. Arju relaying Wave and Speed. That's gonna be an interesting match. I'm gonna give it to Arju and Speed. I think they're gonna barely edge them out though. 3-2. Alright, so now if everything goes as predicted, which knowing Rocket League it won't, but I think this is just my takes. You have NRG versus 100x35 in the upper quarterfinal. Gen G versus Rebellion as well. That one's going to be a fun matchup. It always is. And then in the lower round one, you're going to have Space Station versus Foot, Schiffles Kittens versus Lotus 8. So I'm going to talk about Space Station and Foot first. Reveal Chronic Diaz versus Cheese Frosty and Sosa. Typically, I might not say the names of the players on the roster, but I kind of need to remember all of the roster moves and everything. And Cheese Frosty and Sosa, I think that's a good team. Very solid. I might go back and forth on what I'm saying, but I think Foot's gonna take the upset here over Space Station. I think it's gonna be close. These are best of 7. I'm gonna say 4-2. 4-2 in favor of Foot here. I think SSG is gonna go out early. I mean, I like the team. They just something's telling me in my head that the team is definitely like gonna get upset somewhere early in the tournament. I just don't. They kind of seem like yet again maybe a 5th seed. They might have a rough first regional. In the end. So next we have Lotus 8 versus Schiffles Kittens here. Archer Wing Speed at the bottom. Expert Melon Wells. I'm gonna say Schiffles Kittens gonna win that. Gonna be a fun matchup. I'm gonna say 4-1 to the Europeans. Alright, next we have an upper quarterfinal matchup between 100x35 and NRG. Crispy Samus and Sai versus NRG. I don't see NRG losing to that team. Like, I don't expect them to win the tournament, but I don't think we're going to lose to people they really should not be losing to either. So NRG, clear favorite in this one. I'm going to say 4-1. Alright, next is Gen G versus Shopify. This one's going to be close. And as much as I like this Gen G team, with Rise, Magic Bear, and Justin, I think we're going to fall to Rebellion. I think it's going to be more structure. I mean, Gen G could easily win this. It's a 50-50, but I think it's going to be Rebellion. I'm going to say 4-2 here. There we go. I'm going to edit that out. And then 100x35 Cheese Frosty Sosa. I think it's going to be a great day. I think they're going to beat the Europeans. It might be a close game, but I'm going to say Foot wins 4-3. And then next, Gen G versus Shuffles Kittens. That one might be a hard matchup for Gen G. They could easily get upset here. Do I think it's going to happen? No. They have Rise on their team now. I think it's more solid. I don't think we're going to lose to Shuffles Kittens. So I'm going to say they win. I'm going to say 4-2. I think there's going to be some rough games. It might even go to 5, but this is what I would predict. And next, yeah, Rebellion versus Foot. So first killer, Kofor LJ versus Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. I'm gonna give that one to Rebellion. I think they're definitely gonna come out on top of that one. They should definitely win this match. I'm gonna say give it to them 4-2. And then next semifinal of NRG defending world champions, Atomic Beast Mode Daniel versus Gen G, Magic Bear, Justin, and Rise. And I said it before, I think NRG is going to be a little bit cold. I don't see them coming out swinging and winning, and I think Gen G is going to have an amazing upset here. I think Gen G is going to take it. And a semi-close game, I'm still going to say they win by 2. I'd say Gen G wins 4-2 over the reigning world champions. Now, we have a very interesting grand final here. It'd be a rematch of the upper quarterfinal where Rebellion won. And because of that, I think Gen G is going to take their revenge on Rebellion. I mean, I think Rebellion's going to choke in the end, especially if they make it to a grand final. I think Gen G is going to want it. And so I definitely think Gen G is going to take the first regional. But I'm going to say it's going to be close. I'm going to predict a Game 7 here, 4-3. And with that, that would mean the top 4 and the teams I think would be advancing based off this bracket here to the kickoff is going to be Rebellion, Foot, NRG, and Gen G. So, not much closing to say there. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but I'm very excited to start making content on RLCS and esports in general. And this might not be the best, but everyone's got to start somewhere. So, and I'm just gonna stick to NA for this week because we're doing both NA and EU in the same week, which I don't think has really been done before. I've never seen it done before. So it's gonna be interesting. EU is a whole different ball game, so I'm just gonna stick to NA for this first regional. For the next one, I typically will cover both as well. So those are my predictions, and I think Gen G is gonna come out on top. See you later.